We are here today in Medina, Tennessee on a farmer's field. We do a lot of research on farmers' fields, particularly because that is some of the first places that we document resistance to different herbicides. Most notably, we've come to this field because of some resistance issues. What we have here is Enlist cotton that we've treated 13 days ago with a quart of glyphosate and a quart of Enlist 1. And you see 13 days, a lot of this goosegrass, in fact most of it, looks like it's starting to recover and come back. So you compare this to the treatment just ahead of it here, which is just straight glyphosate. And you can see the Palmer pigweed's coming back. That's not a surprise, right? We know most of our Palmers resist the glyphosate. But what is interesting here is the goosegrass here, we've got considerably better control with just straight glyphosate compared to Enlist 1 and glyphosate. So we have seen similar things in the Xtend system where dicamba and Roundup's not giving us as good a grass control as just straight Roundup. We're also seeing it in the Enlist system, though not quite to the degree, but still it is a problem. And it looks like in order to control things like goosegrass, we probably need to divide it up, where we're spraying the glyphosate after or before, but not tank mixed with Enlist 1. We are here today at the Milan Experiment Station looking at some of our research. Primarily Clay Perkins, who's working on a PhD here, is looking at it from a grass control perspective. But I did want to point out this one treatment he had, actually several treatments out here. This is actually 12.8 ounces of Engenia out here 3 weeks ago. And you can see the Palmer pigweed, we've got a significant number that are recovered and putting their face back to the sun and indeed are looking like they're going to be a problem for the rest of the year. This is now the third location that we've gotten what I would consider, not as good a performance as we really need from a dicamba application on Palmer amaranth applied at the labeled rate, that 4-inch height rate, or 4 inches in height. So I think this is kind of showing that we're seeing a progression in problems, and the best way to manage it is not just figuring on one application of dicamba given complete control, but in a system where we're using a good pre and keeping the numbers down from the start, and then we are looking at a dicamba application followed by Liberty is ideal. It's one of the best. Barring that, another dicamba application, or perhaps in soybeans, a Flexstar or a Cobra or an Ultra Blazer. So those are kind of what we're looking at here today in this first test.
So I'm Clay Perkins. I'm working on my PhD with Dr. Steckel in weed science here. And my project is containing dealing with this jungle rice barnyard grass pest complex. And we're just learning and trying to figure out the best control options and trying to control this grass, with either a glyphosate or a clethodim application. But many growers are using glyphosate and dicamba in the tank as a tank mix together, and we're experiencing antagonism out of control with that. And so this test here is looking at antagonism with a tank mix of glyphosate and dicamba, but then also the antagonism that we're experiencing using those TTI nozzles, comparing that back to just a regular AIXR flat fan nozzle. So this is what we're going to look at today. Is this plot here is just straight glyphosate with a flat fan nozzle, and you notice it looks very, very good. But then as we move across, this is straight glyphosate with a TTI nozzle. So you can notice that antagonism here out of the two nozzles, we're losing about 10–15% control from that TTI nozzle. But then we're going to start seeing more antagonism and less control here as we move across. So this is Roundup with dicamba with a flat fan nozzle. You notice it's better control as compared to right next to it with a Roundup dicamba and using that TTI nozzle. But here we're losing an additional 30–35% control when using a Roundup dicamba tank mix as well. And then as we move up here, we're looking also at a Roundup dicamba with a drift reduction agent. And you notice here, not only we're losing an additional control as well, but we also lose our spray pattern as well. And you notice it almost looks like we just came out here and planted rows of this grass. So we're seeing an additional antagonism and less control here with the use of that drift reduction agent. So I think moving forward, what we're suggesting is splitting these applications up, going out with a dicamba initial application, trying to control those pigweeds, and then waiting about 5 to 7 days later, coming back with just a straight Roundup application, or tank mix some clethodim in with that glyphosate, and you should get better control with an application with that. So a different test here, but we're looking at antagonism out of both dicamba and 2,4-D. This first plot here is just straight glyphosate. You can tell here we've got very good, decent control compared to our check, which is right beside it. We are getting a little regrowth in this, as this is 21 days after application. But we're getting good control here just out of straight glyphosate. Off my back and my right shoulder here, we've got Roundup 2,4-D. We are getting a little bit of antagonism, maybe 15–20% of antagonism out of that 2,4-D. But, we're still picking up that 30–35% antagonism loss, control loss, out of an application of Roundup and dicamba together. Normally what we've kind of picked up doing these tests that, we're getting antagonism, or also seeing goosegrass in with the jungle rice and barnyard grass, but we're not seeing the antagonism out of some of these other grasses, such as broadleaf signal grass, or fall panicum, or some species in that nature. But again, we're getting antagonism out of the tank mix of dicamba and 2,4-D. So the straight glyphosate application is your best option trying to control these grasses.